Hello and welcome to the Tarkis Zone. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be doing a video here on the game Frozen Flame, and today I'm going to go over the building aspects of the game. Currently, right now, we're waiting for the second update for December, and so I've taken the time to kind of just putt around and do some building. This video is going to be on basic building and some of the complex things that I have made in this game. So let's get to it. Building in this game is quite easy. When the game first came out, it was quite grindy because of the weight limit and the fact that the sawmill was only giving you like one plank, and so it took a while to build a timber structure. Well, the developers have been somewhat generous with how they change that. I mean, I think it's over generous, but it is what it is. Oh, I'm taking damage. So let's go find. Let's just teleport to my base, which is over here. I'm dying from the cold. Here we go. We're gonna go into my sky outpost, and in here I have torches lit. So now that I'm not dying, I'll get on to what I was saying. So I think they've been a little bit generous. It's not as grindy. It's easy to build in this game. People say the weight restriction is a big burden to them. I found that once you get a few levels under your belt and you get the perks for being able to run well encumbered, being able to port well encumbered, it seems like weight is never an issue for me. And then there's also a perk that allows you to fly while encumbered. So if you're able to reach those three perks for your tree, then the weight restrictions don't seem to be problematic. And you're going to see the size of this structure that I built. I think I built this structure in under 5 hours. And so let's just look at it now that I'm not freezing to death. So I built this platform out here originally. So where I started this building was, I'm going to fly out so that you can see where I'm at with this building. And I will be going over some basic building strategies once I show you. So the building, looking from this point of view, you see the big rock that's attached from the island. So there's a huge island above me, floating island. What I did is, to start this building, is I built this structure right where I'm standing on that boulder that's below us. And from there, I was able to build this entire building. And I put this teleporter here so that I could get here when I want to get here. So everything you see here, I had to build. And I built this out of the timber. And let me go to the Q. It's the Q command. When you initially hit it, it shows you what you used last for building. And then if you hit it again, it brings up the building window. Keep in mind that if you're building a basic structure, that structure is not going to be sound enough to go 2, 3, 4 levels. I think you can get 2 levels out of it, but I don't think you can get 3 or 4 levels out of it. And the game developers did that very well in this game, where the material matters for stability. So when you go to build in this game, objects will become red. So let me go over here. Let me just pick, I just picked this, what I already have. When I go over here to place this, you see the floors turning red, and as I back out, it's going to orange. Then it's going to orange. So mostly it's orange. So it's somewhat stable. Anything that's in red is not as stable. And it won't allow me to put that object down because it's too unstable. But it will allow me to put it there if I want to. But that would be the maximum location. And this has to do with how you support your structures in this game. Going back to the Q command, hitting it twice, going back to the basic, it doesn't matter how many of these pillars you put into a basic structure. You're only going to get so many levels out of it, regardless of how many braces you put in. And if you're an engineering genius and you build it with an expert mind, the game developer only allows you to do so much for stability. So when you build in timber, which is your next level up, And how you get to the next level is it's just having a sawmill. Once you have access to a sawmill, you do not need to build the basic structures anymore. Actually, it's easy to build the timber structures once you have a sawmill. And how the sawmill works is, as long as you've got timbers in your inventory, you can go up to the sawmill and hit the E command. Hold it down, and there. I just made 3 planks. So it's one log, let's say. One log gives you 3 timber, which I think is quite generous. I think that's quite generous. Now you're asking yourself, do I have to sit there and hold the E down constantly to do this? Now there's a little trick. Hold the E down, hold it down, hold it down, hit the B button. That brings up this interface. Hit the escape, and as you can see, I'm not doing anything right now on my keyboard. It's auto making these planks for me. So once it's done making the planks, then I can utilize those planks to build. Right now, stone isn't in the game. They had introduced stone into the game for, I think, maybe 48 hours, and then they removed the ability to make stone buildings. So right now, you're capped at the timber. That's as high as you can go, building wise, is with these timber planks. And we're just going to wait for this to end. As you can see, what's nice is you can go get a coffee, you can have a snack. You don't have to wait here yourself holding the E command. I know I've been on the forums a few times. People complain, why isn't this automatic? Why can't I just auto queue this? Well, this game does not do well with auto queuing stuff, and I think that's either based on design or they're thinking of implementing it in the future. Now, as you can see, my building is underneath this island, and you can see the island is falling apart. See, you can see the stuff dropping from the island from here. That does not affect your building. It doesn't do any damage to your building. Those kinds of things are just flavor. I call it flavor in the game. So I've got these torches. You can fill these torches with branches to light them up. Now, as you can see, this torch is down to 30% of its hit points. It's because it's not sheltered, has no sheltering. Our server is designed to not destroy things completely. So you need to keep in mind, if you're going to leave something out in the elements, if you're on a server that destroys it completely, you'll have to repair it. Also, the thing you should notice is, see this deck that I made? See these gaps? I'm not going to fall through the gaps by walking through here. So just keep in mind, you can make a nice deck like this and not worry about falling off. But the other thing is, you're going to be able to, if you're this far in the game, you'll be able to turn into bird form. So let's look at some of the stuff I've done with this building. And the sun is setting in the world, so we're going to be seeing this stuff in the dark, and let's hope we'll be able to see it in the daylight by the time we're done. So I built more or less I built the whole thing. And you'll see these windows that I put in. These you can do if you play with the design a little bit. You can make these little, what I call slit windows. Now, these windows over here, these are the windows you can build by using the Q hit twice. These windows are right here, but the problem with these windows is you can't really see through them all that well, and they require one nibbler leather to make. So you'll need to kill nibblers to get the leather to make each end of it. So think about it. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 12 nibblers I had to kill to make that series of windows. And I've got these series over here. So I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to go slaughter a bunch of nibblers so that I can get a window look. I kind of just design the windows myself. And I make it so that, it's not that easy to... Okay, this is something you should know. See, I'm stuck. I'm in the window stuck, and I can't do anything. Just crouch. Control button. I say that. There we go. Yeah, just crouch. More or less, you'll get out of any stuck situation by crouching. And again, that's just your control key. So I'm going to fly back into my building here, and we're going to take a tour. We're going to go up these stairway. This is a single stairway that I made onto this balcony that overlooks the shop. Then I made this hallway, and what I did here is, to get the stability right, I tied into the structure above me. See how I've put those beams that connect into the rock, and then I brought the beams down to the structure. So it allows for stability of the building, but I'm not doing a bottom-up process. I'm doing a top-down process. I tied into the structure above me. And what's nice is I don't need a roof in the structure. You can see by the icon under my level, I got the pig curse. I'm well rested, and under that I'm protected from the elements, and it's the island above me that's protecting me from the elements. That's what's protecting me, is I built underneath the island. So we just go down this hallway. As you can see, these are the kind of, I built these windows, and it lets the light in. Now these half windows, I'm going to show you how to make these half windows when we get up to a spot where I want to build some more. So these half windows are pretty cool. I put a bench here. None of these crates actually have anything in them. Same thing with the room that I was in. None of those crates have anything in them. I'm adding those crates, what I call flavor, to the game, so if people can look at them, it's it's just something to look at. Obviously they can be used if somebody wanted to use them. So go up this stairway. I made this balcony. So I could fly into it to get onto the base. Put another one of those torches here. Now this is an enclosed hallway that I used the roofing for. So I've made this room. Again, I'm protected from the elements. Then I go up this way. I like double stairs, triple stairs. I do not like a lot of single stair. I made one single stair, which we went up when I was back there. Here's a triple stair. Put railings on. I'll show you how to make make these railings when we get to the top. Here's another room I made. Windows. Again, I'm actually tied into, this is the bottom of the island. I'm tied into that island. So coming around this corner, I'm just showing you what you can build in this game. I'm going up here. It's like a little sunroom. I put a torch out here. What's nice is when it's when the sun goes down, the sun tends to go down by where that castle is in the background. Oh, this needs a little bit more fuel to keep going. I'm just going to feed it a little bit of branches. There we go. I'm going to go here. Now what I did is I split into two directions here. I'm going in this direction just to show you that I've just made a room up here. It's, and it allows us to see the castle on a bright day. You can see the castle in the background through this room. I did put a half roof on it. That's the standard roofing up there that I then blended into the rock face. And then I used those beams that come across to get into the rock face to give it more stability. Once the structure's up, it's up. It's just, it's not going to, unless you're on a world where they've got the world set where your structure is going to start breaking apart regardless. And then if that's the case, a structure like this wouldn't be possible, because I'd be spending my entire day just repairing it. Because if the world was degrading it, then yeah, this huge structure would be unplayable. I would have to go to a rinky-dink small structure and then my spare time repair it as the world tears it apart. In this world, that's not the case. The server's not set like this. Items will degrade, like this torch, those will degrade, but the structure itself is not going to. You see, when I'm moving around, you don't see any damage. Now, if I pull out this and I attack this, now when I walk up to it, you'll see there's damage. See the red lines? Those only occur when the structure is taking damage. It's not occurring over here. It's only where the structure is taking damage, and then I can repair it if that's what I want to do. Go up into this little alcove that I made. This is a triple stairway. Just a little flavor for how I built this balcony with the tools that they give. And you want to also know that I spent a lot of time building worlds in Horizon. Well, it's Facebook Horizon, but I think they call it Meta Horizon now. I built so many worlds in VR for them over the last year. And if you know anything about their interface, it's all this type of stuff where you can just block things together. In that game, you can stretch things and move them in 3 dimensions before you place them. So if you had an object like this pole here, before putting it down, I could stretch it, move it higher, and the game would just allow me to do it. In this game, they're fixed what I call assets. That's what we call them in the game, is they're called assets. And what you do is you pick which one you want to utilize. Now, something to keep in mind, that if you build your building just on a floor, a basic floor, it will degrade over time. I think that's going to be the case regardless of what the server setting is. You need to put your buildings on the foundation. That's what this first one is. And in the lumber air, this is what the foundation. So put your foundation first and build on that. Now, if you're tying in here, I've tied into the rock, and I'm not using foundations. I'm just using the basic flooring. And that's fine too, as long as you're able to tie into something that's stable. But keep in mind, if you're building your first structure and you're building it with just the basic floors, I think the building itself won't be stable enough to go more than one level, and I think it will break down over time. So put it on a foundation. Get the extra items to do the foundation. And then I'm coming into this spot here that I built. Again, these half windows, I'll show you how to build those in a sec. This is basically just a warehouse. Again, these boxes have nothing in them. That's just for flavor. Then I'm going to come around the corner here, another double stair. And this is where I pretty much have stopped. So I'm going to show you how, in most cases, when you bring up this railing, it's going to want to go to the top. And here, there's not enough stability for me to put them there because it's in red. Over here, I can't. But it's going to be go to the top of the pillar, right? And it's either the bottom or the top. It's not going to allow me to do anything else. The key is you put a half wall in. So I put this half wall in over here, and then you can line your railing up to that half wall. Now, if you want, you don't have to keep. There's a lot of times I'll put the half wall in, and just destroy it to get that first piece in, that first one. So once I've done that, then I can do the half railing. So I'm not forced, and it won't let me go out there because I have no stability. I'll have to fix that. I'll probably tie in to that wall up there. I'll probably, because I think what I can do is put this one and now see how it was tied in, and I think I can get this one to tie in. That one's tied in. So now, see, I can now build out here. Look at that. I can now build out here. And before it wasn't going to let me because it was telling me that it was not stable enough. But this one's still not stable enough. So I would probably have to do the same thing on this side and tie in. Oh, yeah, I guess there's enough above this one to get in there. So now I should be able to tie into that, and before I couldn't do that because it wasn't stable. So as you can see, as I can put the half railing in, and that now allows you, once you've got the half railing in, that allows you to make that window I'm talking about. Because if you did this, and then put something above it, see, I've just made that half window that you saw me make down there, and then you can put that in there, and there you go, you got your half window. So the key is utilizing the pieces that they give you to put this down first, and then you can delete them as you want to go. Again, stone isn't in the game yet, and we'll be working with stone, and I'm not really sure how stable stone's going to be, how many stories you'll be able to go, but it makes sense to me that developers have made it so that the basic structure isn't as stable. Regardless of how well you build it, the timber structure is more stable. You can get many more stories out of it. So I'm hoping that when stone is introduced, you can get 3 to 4 stories out of it. A lot of people who want to do 5, 6 stories basically just build their houses next to a cliff. and they tie, like I did here, tie into the side of the cliff, and then you can get as many stories as you want because the cliff itself or the side fascia is basically giving you the stability you need to tie it to tie it up so that you can add more stuff. I'm just going to fly over here so that you can see. I'm just going to get some air here. All right. So you can see my structure from a distance. I like this island. This is one of my favorite islands. It's got a lot of resources on it that I like. It doesn't have all the resources that I need, but it has enough resources for me to fly just up there and get what I need to come back down here. So you can see I've got the structure just tied into the island from below. And I think it's a nice location. It's really something I was just puttering with. I just wanted to make a video to show you what is possible. So you can see that castle from a distance. See it way out there. Now, if we go up here and look at it, some of these balconies I made, and now you can see the structure in the daylight. It's not as, so you can see it in the daylight. It's not as dark. Here we go. And then you can see that castle. See it in the distance there? Kind of cool. And I'm going through this again for you so that you can see it in the daylight. All right. So thinking moving forward, there's a couple things. Well, one of the things, I'm just going to say one thing, not a couple things. I figured add one thought per video would be fine. It would be nice if the game had transfer of assets ability. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. There's been games that I've played where I've built a home. And in this situation, I've built this home. And it's tied to me. It belongs to me. I can give my friends, if somebody's in my friends list, if I put doors on it, I could put the doors for friends only, and friends could use the door to get in my structure. This is an open structure, open concept, so anybody can go in here. But if I built a closed structure with the door, it would be nice to have an item in the game that I put in the structure that allows me to change the permission to somebody else. And I'm going to explain what I mean. Let's just call it a pillar. So they give you a little pillar that if I put it down, the pillar down on the ground here, I'm just going to use that as, I'm going to put that down. Let's say I did that, and the pillar is unique to me. It says that the pillar is unique to me, and anything touching the pillar structure-wise is unique to me, meaning that the pillar itself now is connected to this building, and the building's all interconnected together, so this building now belongs to me. And it's under my name, but I should be able to go up to the pillar, the make-believe pillar I'm talking about, and say, I want to give this structure to Billy Bob. And then I change the permissions on the pillar to Billy Bob. And once I've done that, now Billy Bob owns this structure. He has full control over the structure. And the reason why I say that would be nice is because there's a lot of people in games like this don't really have time to build a structure, and they want a structure, and that's one way to allow players that don't have the time, where Tarkis could just give them the structure and it'll be done. Because I imagine eventually, permissions of buildings will be important, and obviously permissions of doors is important. It's just my thoughts on it. There's been games that I've played where I've built structures for people, spent 3 or 4 days building them a castle, and what they did is they gave me 100 in-game gold, and then I changed the permission to the castle to the person who bought it from me. So you're adding like a real estate kind of thing to the game, where your builder can build some stuff and then release that building to whoever wants to own it. And that's my thoughts. I'm using the pillar as an example. It'd be nice if you just had an interface. I could click on the wall here, and there was an interface that said, Tarkis owns this building, and then there was a drop down or a message box where I could type a player's name and hit enter, and then Joe Blow owns the building. I mean, that's my thoughts with this. And maybe that's not what this type of game is. I mean, maybe I'm just thinking I want to add something to a game that I saw in another game that was neat in another game. But I thought, might as well mention it. It'd be nice to be able to give a structure away to somebody that doesn't have time to build it. Now, I guess in this game, I could build it, put no doors on it, and then they could slap the doors on there, which is a problem to me in sense where anybody could slap a door on your building. So I imagine they're going to fix that. So when they fix the ability where Tarkis owns this building and somebody walks up and says, oh, I'm just going to slap a door in here, that the game won't allow you to do it. My guess is they're going to not allow you to do that. Well, then you talk about the permissioning where, okay, if I build the building and they can't slap their own doors on it and give permission to the building, then I need to be able to give them permission to the building. I need to give them the building somehow. Or I could just leave a bunch of crap in a box and tell them to build it. But some people just don't want to do that. They just want somebody to build for them. And then when they get on, they have, it belongs to them and it's theirs. And the person who built it moves on to build something else for someone else. That's just really my thoughts on that. Well, this was supposed to be just a basic video on building and really how easy it is to build in this game. Now, I don't really have anything to do in this game. I finished the campaign. My friends have finished the campaign. They're waiting for the next update. This server has been quite quiet, so if you want to join the server and just build or do the campaign, it's been quiet. You should be able to do that. No one's going to bother you. I've got this portal set to all. So if I hit R, I can change permission. This is what I'm talking about. If the door had friends, that means only my friends and me can use it. If I change this, pretend this was a door. If I change it to owner only me can open the door. If there was a door here, only I would be able to open the door. But again, nothing stops Joe Troll to teleport here and slap his own doors on here. And then I wouldn't be able to get in the building. I would have to destroy a wall to get into the building. That would, which is okay. Or I'll destroy the doors to get back in the building. That's, it just seems that I imagine they'll address that. I mean, again, if we're talking about that pillar idea, whereas I got a pillar that I put down that gives me permission to the structure that it's attached to, and therefore also says no one outside of Tarkis can build within a certain amount of meters of the pillar. So maybe, you put a couple pillars down for a building this size, or maybe one pillar that connects it all just says, okay, this pillar basically says near any of the structure, no one can build. This way that would stop anybody from just dropping doors into your building and keeping you out of your own structure. So that's another way of looking at it, because they need to put something in the game where people that are not your friends, they're just there, cannot just walk into your structure and just start dropping doors everywhere, or locking those doors to owner only, and that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem not right now, because the game is what it is, but it will be a problem in the future when you're talking PvP servers. If I could just walk up to someone's house and basically remove their door, put my door on there, and then take possession of the house, that seems a little silly. Now, in the pillar scenario, but if somebody goes in the house and destroys the pillar, then they could drop their own pillar down, and yes, they could take possession of the house at that time. And in a PvP world, that makes sense. So that the pillar itself is, so if I'm building the building, I would make sure that that pillar is protected at all costs. So somebody can just not walk into the building, destroy the pillar, and take possession of my house. So those are the things I'm just thinking about, is how you kind of work around not having trolls all day locking you out of your house. Now, if they want to take legit possession of it and destroy the item that links you to the building, that's one thing. I mean, okay, that's part of the mechanics of the game. But just have somebody, Joe Idiot, come and slap a bunch of doors down because they just want to be a jerk, that's another thing. Now, I imagine even in the PvP worlds that they're going to be developing the survival mode, PvP mode, there might be areas where they're considered safe, meaning that buildings themselves do not take degrade, and buildings themselves cannot take damage or be attacked by players. Now, if that's the case, then this is all mute. You just build whatever you want. No one's ever going to bother you because you're in a zone, you're in a Care Bear zone where it doesn't really matter how the structure is built. But if you build anything outside of the Care Bear zone, then you're at the mercy of the game mechanics. And I've obviously told you my thoughts around that. All right, well, thank you for joining me. This has been the Tarkis Zone.